Hey everyone, today I'm going to go over how we draw and dimension the dovetail slide and the switch bracket. This is the finished products when we get done. So let's get started on it and see what we can do as far as drawing it. I'm going to just take and push these drawings up, and we'll zoom in on this one first and you can see what we've got to do to it. I'm going to cut the dimensions off for a minute. I'm going to change my layers. I've got it in dimensions right now. I'm going to go to Object, and now I can go in and I can freeze or turn off. You can either turn a layer off or you can freeze a layer. Either way, you won't be able to see them. All you have to do right now, if they're in yellow, that means that's what they're doing. If they gray out, that means that they're off, okay? So I'll just go ahead and turn the layers off for now. Okay, so there, now you can see that's what the objects are going to look like when we get done. So let's do a quick drawing here of what we need. So on this dovetail slide, it's pretty straightforward. It's 4.5 inches wide. It's 2 1/4 inches tall. It's 2 5/16 deep. Okay. So if we start with our line command, and again, I'm going to slide up and get just a clean area down here to draw. Okay, so I'm going to go into line, draw over, and this is 4 1/4. I'm sorry, 4.5. It is height-wise. I'm on my front view, 2.25. Okay. Again, I'm going to come over and hover, click, drag up, click, drag down. Use my object snap boxes. So there's that, okay? Just for cleaning it up sake, I'm going to line these up so it's directly underneath each other. There we go. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in, the platform is not really visible good in this view. All we see is just the edge of it. We see it better in this shape here in the right side. And of course, we're drawing now. I didn't go over this, but real quickly, we draw the front view because we can see the notch cut out of it. We can see these two chamfers here, these cutoffs, which is good. We have to draw the right side because that's where we see the L shape. We have to draw the top view because that's where we see the hole. So we do have to draw 3 views. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead, though, we know that that platform up is 1 inch up. So I'm going to use the offset command and go 1 inch up and go ahead and put that there, okay? And let's work on the dovetail itself, okay? So the dovetail is the little angled piece cut through the bottom of it. Notice it says 60 degrees on both sides. It is a 1/2 inch tall if you'll read the dimension in there. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go back into offset and change my distance to 1/2. Click and drag up. There we go. So there's how tall it is. Now, notice that the first cutout is 1 inch in from this right side, and then there's 2.5 inches between them. Well, of course, I'm going to end up using the mirror command to get the second one, but let's get the first one first. So I'm going to go ahead and offset 1 inch, and I'm going to use this line to my advantage. So now that line is 1 inch over from the edge. So this object, notice this 1 inch, the 60-degree angle, that's to the bottom of the angle. So I'm going to use the rotate command. That is a 60-degree angle. I'm going to use the rotate command, and I'm going to use the bottom of this line as my base point. So I'm going to go to click on rotate. It tells me to select objects that I want to rotate. So I click on that. It's the only one that I need, so I'm going to hit enter. And then, like I said, my base point is going to be here. So now, see, I can turn this line. All right, now here's the deal. When we turn it, notice when we go this direction, okay, see what we've got? When we go this direction, see what we've got? Get out here where we can see what's going on, okay? So I'm going to the right. So if I'm going to the right, I'm going to have to put a negative number in. If I go to the left, I'm going to put in a positive number. So that's 60 degrees from horizontal. So this is a vertical line that I've got. So instead of 60 degrees, I need to put in 30. And it needs to be a negative number, so it'll go to the right. So 30 degrees will create my 60-degree line, okay? Because 30 from 90, since that was a vertical line, gives me 60, okay? So now I can use the trim command and clean all this up, or I can just drag it back using the grips. Either one works fine. There we go. That's that, okay? And we're good to go there. Now, like I said, while I've got it to this position, your first inclination would be to probably move this line back. You can go ahead and do that if you want to. That's not a problem. You may want to wait and do it later. So now I need one just like it over here. This line going all the way across, as well as these, I can use them as my mirror lines. So I'm going to go to mirror. I'm going to click on this to select my object, and I'm going to hit enter. Now it says select first point of mirror line. I want the midpoint of this because it's halfway between, and either drag straight up or straight down and click your second point. We want to save this line, so no is our answer to the erase source object, so you can just hit enter. And there we go. And again, now I can click and drag this back. There we go. And then escape. Now I need to trim out this. So I'm going to use the trim command. I could pick these two as my cutting edges, or I can just hit enter for select all. And that gets rid of that. Okay? So there's that part done. Now let's look at the chamfers up here at the top. So what is a chamfer? A chamfer is a beveled edge. An edge cut off at an angle instead of rounded off. And we have a command called chamfer. It's hidden, nested underneath the fillet command. See the little drop down arrow? So I'm going to click on it. There it is, chamfer. Notice it puts it on top. Whatever's on top is the command you can just click on, or you can hit the drop down and get another one. So we're in chamfer, if you notice. And what this gives us is it gives us a distance in at the top. If you notice at the top right of our drawing, it says it's 3/4 of an inch in, and it's a 45-degree angle. So if we want to use angle, we have to select angle. If all we've got is distances both ways, we would select distance. Now it's going to ask for that 3/4 here, very first thing. And yes, that is a distance, but because we're using an angle, we're going to click on angle here. Okay? So our distance, well, I had put one in previously at 7/8. It would usually read 0 right here. So I want to come in and I want to tell it I want a distance of 3/4. We can either do 3/4 or we can do 0.75, whichever one you'd rather do. Now notice what it says. Select angle. Well, that's going to be a 45-degree angle. Okay? With a 45, it doesn't matter which one we click on, because a 45-degree angle, the legs are going to be the same. So it would be 3/4 this way and 3/4 this way. But if you have to do a distance and an angle that's not a 45-degree angle, then remember which line the measurement is on. This line is across the top of the object. So let's be real selective and let's pick the top of the object. And then click here. It shows you what it's going to do. If we hit enter, it remembers everything we typed. If you notice down here at the bottom, it remembers everything, and that's what it's going to do unless we change it. So I'm going to hit enter again. So now we're good to go. Click, click. There it is. Okay? So there's our front view, our visible lines done that quick. Okay? So now let's draw our right side. Our right side, again, same height, is 2 5/16 deep. Let's put a couple inches between the views. I'm going to hover. I'm not picking this as my first point. I'm going to drag across, and I'm going to put in 2 inches between my views. So there's my line starting. Now I'm going to put in 2-5/16. That's 2 5/16. 2 5/16. I'm sorry. 2 5/16. Now, the key to this, remember, you could type in 5/16. But you need to put the exact number, not round it off to 2 decimal places. So that's where that cheat sheet, that decimal cheat sheet that you've got will come in handy, okay? So make sure that you put this in correctly, okay? Now we go up and get our height, or we can come over and just hover and drag back across, okay? Now here, I can do this fairly simple. I don't really need to draw a box. The top of this thing is only 5/8 wide, so 0.625. There we go. And then down, come over here and hover over the top of this platform, line up, click, drag out, line up with this one, click, and then come down. Look at there. There's my L shape. Okay? My chamfer, I can go ahead and get it because I've got that corner established. Just right there. Drag across, click, drag across, click. There it is. Okay? So there's what I can see visibly in this view. Now in the top view, same thing. I need to be 2 inches up. Well, look, my corner's gone that I would normally start off of. You don't want to be 2 inches above this corner. We really want this point right here that's where the corner would be if it was a solid piece. You know, the easy thing to do is just offset 2 inches and offset this up 2. So there it is. And into our line command and hover here. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to drag up, get it to track. I'm going to find this point and I'm going to drag across, and look what it does. It establishes that corner. We're still at 2 5/16 because this is still depth. Okay? Now, how wide is it? Well, I'm going to come and hover right over here. Drag up, click. Come here and hover. Drag straight down, click. And then I can use either extend, which is the command we want to use, or I can use my grip. So I'm going to do extend. I'm going to select all by entering, and I'm going to click here and click here, and there's my box. Now, we need the entire box for our top view. Now that we've got this drawn, I'm going to move this whole thing down a little bit, okay, to give me some more room to work. So notice what we've got to do in the top view. We've got to put our chamfers in. We've got to show our dovetails hidden, just like we do here. We've got to show our hole. So we're still working on visible objects right now. So one thing we need is we need that upright of the L. here. That offset is 5/8, so 0.625 again. There we go. That's in the right place. Line, there's the top of our chamfer. Click, click. I could use the mirror command or the copy command or the line command. I'm just going to use line since that's the last one I was in. Click, click. There we go. That's in the right place. Now we need to put the hole in. That hole is 7/8 of an inch back from here. And it's 2 1/4 inches in from the edge. Well, if you look quickly, you see 4 1/2 is the overall width, 2 1/4. That's exactly half. So I'm going to start a line here at the midpoint and go back 7/8, 7/8 or 0.875. Either one's fine. That is the center point of my circle. So I'm in circle diameter. Remember, if you've just cut the program on, it's going to be circle radius right now. If you accidentally do this instead of using circle diameter, watch what I can do. I'm going to click on it. It says specify center for point for center. I click there. And notice, this is in radius, but I can change it to diameter by clicking right there. So now I'm in diameter, okay? This is a 15/16 inch drill. There we go. So that's the size of my hole, okay? I'm going to utilize this line while I've got it. I'm going to go ahead and drag it up to here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to click on the end again, drag it up 0.25 further. I'm going to drag this point up to the quadrant and drag it back down 0.25. And while I've got it highlighted in blue, I can change its layer to center line. And then I can hit escape. There we go. There's my center line. To make one just like it, I could go through the same process. The easiest thing to do, though, is mirror and use a 45-degree mirror line to get a 90-degree object. Click on that object to be mirrored. Use the center of the line as your base point. Drag out at 45 degrees. It don't matter which 45 degrees. See? Just 45 degrees, and it will make it perpendicular. See? Ooh, I hit yes. It made it go away. Didn't want to do that. Okay? I should have left it at no. So I'm going to go back in the mirror, do the exact same thing, click, drag up, and make sure I stay on my no. Just hit enter. Don't hit that yes button. Okay? So there we go. Pretty simple. That's all the visible lines we can see, and we've already put in some center lines. Now we need to change layers. Let's go to hidden. Let's go to line. Let's hover here, drag up. This goes all the way through it, click, and drag straight back. Now here's where we want to zoom in. We want the X. We don't want the box. We want this X. Click. There we go. Let's do the exact same thing at this point. You will have 2 lines on each side because there's 2 edges. Now, again, I can do the very same thing over here, or I can use that mirror command because we know it's dead center and drop it right there. Okay? The height of that dovetail will be shown in the right side. There we go. We need that. The edges of the circle will be shown in both the right side and the top and the front. So I click at there. What I'm doing is I'm using the quadrant, and of course I'm getting an X because it's an intersection between the circle and the line. And then I'm going to drag down and start my point there and go to there. There we go. Okay. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to copy this center line because it's on the correct layer. And I'm going to click on the quadrant. I'm going to drag down and drop it on that top line. The reason why I did that, that's already set up at 1/4 inch. So the only thing I have to do is click on this, drag it back to the, notice what I'm doing, to the intersection, and then click and drag back down 1/4 inch. Now notice something, that line did not put the breaks in it like this, the long dash, short dash, long dash. If I click on it, you notice it's on the center layer. It is a center line. It's just not long enough to show the breaks. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? So, what do I do next? Well, I need that very same thing, and notice that the center point is 7/8. Remember our drawing, the center point is 7/8 in from the front edge. Well, here's where I'm going to cheat a little bit. I could either use offset or line, either one. Let's use offset, and let's say 0.875. Okay? And I'm going to click on that front edge in the right view and go this way. So there's where my center line, the plane that my center line should lay in. Now I'm going to go to copy. I'm going to highlight the whole thing. Notice that my center line does not go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to click, and I'm going to use the top of this center line, or the top of the plane where the center line intersects, and I'm going to bring it over and drop it at that top line right there. And you go, well, I can't see where it's at. But remember, look, if I hover, you can see it highlight. So I'm going to click down here and get rid of that line. I use the delete key. You could use erase. Either one works fine. Okay? So there's the object fully drawn. That's it. So now what we need to do is we need to put our dimensions on it. Well, let's thaw out or turn the dimensions back on. We'll go up and look and see what we've got to do. So we've got to locate the hole left and right, give it size. We've got to locate and give the size of the L shape. And then we've got to talk about our dovetail, and then of course give our overall height, width, and depth. Okay? So let's do the easy ones first. So let's zoom down here. Let's take care of the window first. We need to change over to dimension layer. Use our dimension function. Remember, use the quadrant of the circle so it'll overlap the center line and the extension line. Click and drag down. Quadrant of the circle, edge of the object, click and drag out. There's our location. The only thing we need now is how big is the hole. So we're going to use, remember, a diameter symbol, we can use the diameter dimension. Click. Oh no, look what happens. It's wanting to do that funky dimension there. So let's use our leader. Remember, this is a 15/16 circle, which 2 decimal places is 0.94. So I'm going to zoom in, click right on that, and instead of doing a 45, because it's going to take it out through all these lines, I'm going to jack it up here a little bit. I'm going to get about 60 degrees right there. Okay. My landing, if it gives you that note down there at the bottom, just hit enter, and it'll put it in there for you correct. Remember, the symbol for diameter is a lowercase n. So I hit n, 0.94, and then click off it. There we go. Now the only thing I have to do is click and drag this off to the intersection of where the line touched the circle, and that will put it in the right place. Then hit escape. So there we go. The circle is completely dimensioned. Let's look at this now. Let's look at the cutout. Let's go to linear. And what we need is here to here and drag up. Here to here and drag out. And that's it. Because location and size are all in these 2 dimensions. That's all we need. Okay? So now, what are we going to do about this notch down here? The reason why, we know that from here to here we need this dimension. We need to know that it's a 1/2 inch tall. So let's drag it over. There we go. Notice I changed it. I drew my number in and kicked the arrows out. So we're good there. Now, one thing I didn't do, and I should have, I'm going to click here. I'm going to come here and hover over this. I'm going to make sure that I've got these lined up. And it should be right there. Okay? I should have done that to start with. And we also know that it's 1 inch in from the edge. Right there. And we know that it is 2.5 inches wide. So right there. So we need that. But what about the angles? How can we dimension those angles? Because of them being interior angles, we would make a mess trying to get an angle in there. You know, the chamfers are easier. We can do them, and we're going to do them here in just a minute. But what we're going to do now, this here, the size of the hole, this is called a local note. In other words, it's talking about one thing. It's local. Okay? If we want to do a general note for a whole drawing, what we would do is we would come down and we would put our notes somewhere on the page. So I'm going to go, and again, I always like to use single line text. Give it a starting point. So I'm going to start it right here just for fun. Our rotation angle is 0, so that means it's going to go to the right. Just hit enter. Make sure your cap lock is on. And so what do I want to tell it? I want to tell it that dovetail angle equals 60, and I need the degree symbol. Well, this is one of those little hidden things. If you kind of like playing Mario World. There's a alphabet called the percent alphabet in AutoCAD, and I'll get you this worksheet. So if I hit my shift key and do percent, I'm going to zoom in so you can see this, and I'm going to hit the D, the letter D. It makes my degree symbol. Dovetail angles equals 60 degrees. I'm going to change it to plural. There we go. I'm going to click off of it now, and I'm going to say cancel. Oh no, I said cancel and it went away. Yeah, we don't want to do that. So we have to go through the exact same process again. And again, dovetail. See what happens? You got to click off, then you're out of the typing command. Dovetail angles equal 60, and again, percent D. There we go. Now, click off of it. Now hit escape. It will save what we've got. So do we need any more notes? Well, how about our chamfers? Because again, we could do some dimensioning in here, but it's going to end up being a mess if we do. It's just as easy to put a note. So I can, while I was typing, I could have hit enter and it would have gave me another line of text, or I can come back and start a new line. I could copy this text and just drag it down like that. Either of them work. And then I can double click on this and now I can just delete and start typing again. So chamfers, ooh, misspelled. Make sure you spell it right. By the way, AutoCAD has a spell check built into it. Chamfers equal, and remember what we had? We had 0.75 inches by, which would be an X, 45, and then again, % D. Click off of it, hit escape. There we go. There's our notes. These are called general notes. In other words, they apply to the whole drawing. That is that object fully dimensioned. That's all we've got to do. Ooh, you're thinking, think, what's going on? You're right, no overall dimensions. See, if you're not careful, you'll forget stuff like that. Get in a pattern and do it the way the same every time. So let's put our overall depth here. Let's put our overall height here. Okay, because we got a square corner to work off of. Excuse me. And let's put our overall width here. Again, working off our square corner. Now the object is fully dimensioned. Okay? So that's it for that one. Now let's go over and look at this one real quick. Now this one is a little more fun to draw, but the dimensions, again, as you can see, we've got some interesting dimensioning on it. Okay? So let's scroll down here. I started 8 inches over. So I drag over 8 inches. That's my first point. There we go. This object is 4.5 wide. Okay. It is 2 3/8 tall. And again, I'm going to start with a box in my front view. So let's look and see what we can do here. Okay. So what we've got is we've got a corner cut off here. This one's done at 15 degrees. Again, the only problem is that my measurement is from here over. What I would have to do is I would have to subtract 1 1/4 from 4.5, which is not hard. It's 3 1/4 to do my angle in chamfer. The other thing I can do is I can draw a line and then trim back to it. Either one would work. But let's use chamfer since that is the proper way of doing it. So I want to go chamfer. I want to do an angle. Now this time my distance, again, remember, it says it's 1 1/4 in from the left, but we need it from the right because we're chamfering the right corner. So 1 1/4 from 4.5 is 3.25. And my angle, remember, we're going clockwise, not counterclockwise, so we need a -15 degrees. Now, which line did we measure on? The top line. Click here and click here. Oh no, it won't let me do it. Something's wrong. Okay? So when we get into a situation like this, and it may just be the way that I put it in, it may be just a slip up in the program. Remember, there's always more than one way to do something. So instead of doing that, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to line, I'm going to hover, drag across, I'm going to say my first point is 1.25 over. So look, there's my first point. Now, how long am I going to make this line? Notice the box is in blue. I'm intentionally going to make this line a little long. I'm going to say that it's 4.5 inches long. Now, instead of hitting enter, I'm going to hit the tab function and it throws me to my degrees. Notice that says 12. I'm going to type in 15 and hit enter. There's my line. Now I can go to trim, select all, and look, I can click and get rid of them and click and get rid of that. There's my line. I'm good. So that took care of that pretty easy, okay? So sometimes you do have to do that, and that's fine if we do. All right, so let's go ahead and put, if we notice, zoom out and we'll go back up here. I can go ahead and do this L shape here because it really doesn't get a lot better in any of the views. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right here while I'm here. So this platform is 7/16 high. So I'm going to offset 7/16. Offset up, and it's 7/16 the upright this way. So there's that. Pretty easy, okay? The end of the L that we see is 2.5 over from the edge. So I'm going to hit enter, change my distance to 2.5, and there's my endpoint. Now this time, again, I can use my grips or I can use my trim. I can take this one and drag back to the blue grip because that's where it goes. This one needs to come over to here, and then this one needs to come up to here. Okay? Oh no, we have to leave that one because that edge goes all the way to the bottom. It's not a true L. This is an upright, this is an angle, so you have to leave that line there. Okay? So how tall is the L? Well, it's 2 inches tall. So let's offset 2. There it is. And again, now this time I will use trim. I'm going to click both of them as my cutting edges, get rid of that, get rid of that. So there's the top of my L. Okay? And I know that the bottom of that chamfer is 7/8 up. I can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to use the line command, hover, drag up, and say 7/8, and then drag across and click. There's that. Okay? The only other thing I need now is the hole, because all this is from the front view. Remember, we draw everything we can see in the views. We do need 3 views this time, by the way. Okay? Because from the top, we're going to see that triangle platform. From the right side, we're going to see that chamfer cut. That 30-degree chamfer cut. So that's why we need all 3 views. Okay? So again, I'm going to use my line command. I'm going to hover, drag over. It's 3/4 of an inch over. And then up, 3/4 of an inch up. So there's the midpoint, the center point of my hole. This time I am going to click on diameter instead of changing. The diameter is 5/8, 0.625. Don't forget the 5 if you do decimal. So there's the hole. Again, I'm going to turn this into a center line. I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. I'm going to drag up. I'm going to drag up again, 0.25. Now I'm going to shorten it back to 1/4 of an inch bigger than the hole at the bottom. There we go. While I've got it there, I can go ahead and hit the mirror command. Click in the center point, drag out to 45 degrees, hit enter, and I'm done. There we go. Pretty cool. So let's start our right side. Hover, drag over 2 inches. This is depth. Our depth of the entire object is 1 3/4. So 1.75. Our height I can get from here, or I could have typed it in, either one. Okay? So now what I need, and this is one of those cases you might want to draw the entire thing, or you might just want to draw the L. So remember, the thickness of this, all the way around, the thickness of these uprights are all 7/16. So there we go. Now down, I'm going to come and hover over the platform, drag back, click, drag out. All I need is the bottom here, up, click, and then back down. There's the L shape. Now I still have to put the platform in here, right, or with the chamfer. So the top of that pulls off of this corner. And now here I'm going to go all the way to here, click, okay? So that takes care of that. I'm going to take this line now and extend it out, because we're going to use that chamfer command to clean this up. So there we go. Now again, it's 7/8 up. Because we're cutting off this corner, what we need to be careful with if we want to use the chamfer is we will need to subtract, okay, to get it in the right place. Or we can use that rotate command like I used on this one. So 7/8 from 2 is 1 1/8. Okay, so let's try our chamfer again. So let's go 1.125 is our distance, okay? Now look at this. Did I click on angle? So because we didn't hit angle here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I am going to click on angle again, okay? Now, notice what it's got though. It's got these numbers in it, so it's not right. I need to hit escape. Now let's come back into chamfer and make sure we hit angle first. That's key. Make sure you hit angle first. So again, 2.125, because when we did that 2.125 the first time, that was just going to do distance, and it's not going to work. Now hit enter. Now our angle, and again, this is going to the right. Okay, so let's try 30 degrees and see what happens. Let's don't do a negative. Okay, so negative, we need to click this line and this line. Yep, see, it don't want to do it. So we sort of wonder what it is. It says chamfer distance is too large. Okay, so what I'm going to do again is I'm going to come and hover over this point, drag across. I'm going to click on me a line. I'm going to drag it up, and this time watch what I do. I just made it too long. I'm going to rotate this line. I'm going to click here. I'm going to rotate it -30 because I want it to go counterclockwise. Okay, now I'm going to hit my trim again. Exact same process that I used before. So there we go. There's that chamfer put in, okay? Pretty simple. So now our top view. Again, in this situation, what I want to do is I may need a miter line. You remember the miter line? That's that 45-degree line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click. And that time I clicked, I didn't really need to, but I did. So I'm going to go up, and I'm going to say 2 inches just to get my point, because that line will end up going away. The depth of this is 1.75, okay? And then my width, I'm going to come over to here, click. I'm going to drag down the 1.75, and I'm going to drag back across. Okay? So like I said, that line I really didn't need to do. But here's something I do want. I want my miter line here. So I'm going to click, drag over, hover, get that green line, click, and drag down. Now look, I don't have to put these 2 lines in. But I'm just showing you. So see the back of the object and the back of the object line up. My miter line is 45 degrees. So there we go. I'm going to use this here in a minute. This is going to come in handy. So watch what I can do. I can go line. I can use offset to get that back wall, or I could hover here, drag up, click and drag across, and then use my grips to shorten it down. That will put it in the right place. Okay? I know that this sits right here in front, so I can click here and drag up. Okay? My angled line, watch this. I'm going to go to line. I'm going to hover here. I'm going to drag all the way up till I get to this back wall because it hits that back wall. And then I'm going to come back to here. There's that angled line. Okay? Pretty simple. Now I can use this and drag back to that point. I can drag this up to this point. Okay? Hit escape. Now how about my chamfer? This really comes in handy. Hover, drag up and click, and drag across. Now right there is that line. Okay, that's where that goes. This chamfer is easy to do because I can project straight off the front view. Click and click. There we go. So there's all my visible lines. So see, the miter line does come in handy. You just have to remember to get rid of it when you're done. So now what I need to do is put my hidden lines in. Let's change to the hidden layer. Oh no, look, I drew every bit of this on the dimension layer. So what do I do now? Do I have to redraw it? No. Highlight all the lines that's supposed to be object lines. Look, even the circle. Don't get your center lines. Okay, make sure you get all of them. And I'm checking. Yep, everything's there. Still says dimensions. I'm going to click and I'm going to change all those to object lines. Okay, if you want to make sure, hit your line thickness. Yep, got everything. Okay. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to go into hidden. Sometimes you got to be careful. You'll draw in the wrong layer. So, that's almost like over here. Let's go back, since I'm in hidden. Let's go back and let's freeze dimensions or turn them off. Thank goodness, everything's on the correct layer. You always want to do that every once in a while. Make sure you're doing things correctly. Okay? Excuse me. So, we need to put our hidden lines in. So, what hidden lines do we have? Well, if we go up here and look, honestly, the only hidden lines we have are for the hole. That's it. Okay? So we do our line command, hover over the quadrant, come back, click, click. And again, I can copy or I can just keep on drawing lines by using the quadrants. Whichever one works better for you is fine. Same thing here, hover and drag across, click, click. I want to show you something that's going to happen here. Watch this. When I hover here and drag across, look what happens. I'm right on top of that line, right with it. So I need to click on this line and drag it off 1/16. Put a 1/16 of an inch gap there. Okay? That will be done correctly. Now I need my center lines. And again, I'm going to go copy. I'm going to copy a horizontal. I'm going to use this point, drag across to here. And now I can take this line, drag it back to the point, and then drag it back out a quarter to get it right. This side is already correct. Okay, so there's that one. Good to go. Notice it didn't put the brakes in. That's fine. Very same thing up top. I'm going to go copy again. I'm going to use the top quadrant and drag it to the back. That'll give me a 1/4 of an inch there. And then I'll need to use the bottom and put it in the correct alignment. There we go. Okay. So there's my hidden lines and my center lines all put in. Now all we need to do is dimension it. Okay. The hole is easy this time. The hole is really easy. So let's locate top to bottom. Oh, look, he did it again. He's on the hidden layer. Again, y'all, if you do this, you can either undo, which is honestly the easiest thing to do, and what I would do, I would hit undo and change layers. Okay, if you did them all on the wrong layer, you can go back and click on them and change them. So let's go to dimension. We'll zoom in now. Now let's try that again. Click, click, and drag out. Click, click, and drag down. And now let's do our leader. Center point, drag down. I'm going to sort of line these up right about there. There we go. And click for my distance. And now diameter, I need the lowercase n. And that hole we said was 5/8, 0.62. And click off of it. There we go. Now don't forget to do this. Click on it and drag it down to where the intersection is. There we go. Pretty easy, right? All right, so now look what we've got to do. We've got to do the platform. Well, here's where we're going to start stacking some stuff. And we've got to do our chamfers. Let's do those chamfers first. You want to? So we know we've got a dimension from here to here, and it's 0.88. Okay, well, that's good. And then we can use our angle dimension. We can click on this, and drag out. Look at that. Nice. Okay. And we can do the exact same thing here. So let's do linear from here to here, drag up, and then let's do angular, and let's do here, and drag out and get that 15 degrees. Nice. Look how easy that worked, okay? So now let's work on our platform, our upright, okay? I'm going to work on the front view here because this is going to be a little cleaner to work on. So I'm going to go back into linear. I'm going to do the base first. I'm going to click here and here. There's really no good place to put this dimension, so I'm going to put it here. Sometimes you just have to pick the lesser of all your evils when you're dimensioning. And I'm going to drop it in the middle. There we go. There's that. Okay? Then what I need is I need the height of this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click here and drop this in. And then guess what? I can put my overall height out here. How about that? Okay? Pretty neat, huh? All right, so now what I need is I need the thickness of my upright. Well, I can either do that in the front view, the top view, or the right side. But again, I'm going to stack these dimensions. It's going to look better. So because of that, that dimension there is going to need to move up. So I'm going to drag it up. I'm going to hit escape. Now I'm going to go back into linear. And again, I'm going to click here in this corner. I'm going to drag up, and I'll end up moving that dimension again. Let's move it up a little bit more. So right about there. Now let's put the 4 forward dead center. There we go. Much better. And then what I can do is I can do my overall width. Now, do you want it in the front view or do you want it in the top view? Well, that angle may cause a problem, so let's don't put it there. Okay? So what I want to do, and notice here, I get to looking at this and go, you know what? That is a little bit of a mess. So let's back up. Let's go back and let's put that 0.25 right back where it was at. Let's do that 4.4 here instead. This will clean this up a little bit. Okay? There we go. Now, remember, this angled platform come off the end. So we need to do our 2.5 there. And now we can do our overall width here. This is definitely cleaner. Okay? So what do we have left? Well, the only thing we have left is how thick is the back wall and what's our overall depth. So we get our back wall here. And again, these will all be 0.44s. Click on it and drag it to the middle. Hit escape. And then click here. And go all the way out to the end and click and drag out and say 1.75. So look at that. There's that object fully dimensioned. Okay? So you see what we've got when we get done? It ends up taking a little bit of work. But if you'll do that, you'll end up with a nice drawing. I hope this helps. Have a great day.